Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the DNVR Rapids Podcast. It's a loser's lounge, fellas. What a bummer. Rapids fall 3-1 in Houston, midweek action. Rafa's goal streak ends at 5 games. Djordje gets one on the missed Rafa penalty cleanup duty. Rapids missed a lot of early chances, gave up some easy ones late. Womp womp. Heard that one before. Joining me to break it all down, the fellas. Gaucho Super Ya.
Hello.
Hello.
I was doing that during the whole intro. Nobody could hear me, and I thought it was hilarious.
I was wondering what you were laughing about.
Also joining us, of course, it's downtown Duane Brown.
Sad boy Duane Brown today.
Sad boy Duane Brown.
Sad.
Yeah, I mean, that game
was the revenge game, man.
I feel you.
Rapids don't have revenge games. They just have deja vu games.
Yeah, this one was tough. Rapids go into Houston. They're facing a team that's missing a lot of people, including their starting goalkeeper. Tarbell comes in. And what does he do? He ties a club record for saves in a game for Houston. 10 saves. He stood on his head, denied all the chances the Rapids had but one. And I mean, that to me, that's the story of the game. Obviously, we can kind of identify the smaller factors that led to, not getting more than that one on the board. But man, they sure had a lot of chances. They sure had a lot of quality chances. And sometimes you just got to tip your cap to the keeper. That's my initial read on this game, Yaya, but I'm sure you disagree.
Yeah, fuck that keeper. Straight up.
I mean, come on.
No. Those chances were not quality. I'll give them 2-3 good saves all game. I think the rest were bad shots, if I'm honest. They were shots that weren't strong enough, or they were just not directed the right way. That keeper is slower. He's older. He has gray hair in his beard. I doubt he's going to play much longer. No offense, Duane.
I'm not playing much anymore either.
That's what I mean. I think those shots. Look, I think when we look at the stats, it's going to say all these saves. But then you go look at those actual shots, and they weren't that dangerous. I think he had maybe 3 really good saves all game. The rest were kind of just pedestrian, in my opinion. And the misfortunate part is that Zack couldn't even make the pedestrian one. So,
yeah, Steffen had a rough one. 3 goals. So that's 11 goals in the last 3 games. 5 at RSL, 3 at home to Minnesota, 3 away to Houston. That's a tough. It's tough, man. He's having a rough go of it right now. I mean, what do you think's up with Steffen? Duane, you had a lot of thoughts in the chat during the game, like a whole mess of them.
He was within arm's reach.
Yeah.
The one from outside the box, the one from that second one, he seemed to be screened a little bit, maybe. And it was a quick shot on the rebound, but that was within at least a foot, like if he had done the chicken dance, could have got an elbow on it. Really anything on that one. First one we felt differently on. I felt like that didn't look like he really put in the effort on that one. You guys felt differently. Given other things happened on that first goal that broke down that were not Steffen's fault. So that required Steffen to, have to be a goalkeeper and be the last stop, and he didn't get it,
Yeah.
and he didn't even dive for it. So I don't know. It was frustrating, man. We've given up a lot of goals lately.
A lot of goals. I think that first one, we can talk about that first one. It was Jasper kind of creates a half turnover where he gets the ball off his guy. Cole thinks he can sprint through it, start a counter. It gets poked away before he can get control. Wide open cross, wide open goal.
Yeah, Bombi was there too.
That was Bombi was sort of there, but also you're just out of position. Everyone gets out of position because I think the Houston front line and the Rams back line both thought that turnover was starting, right? So all of a sudden you're not as tight. Everyone's not as tight to where they were about 2 seconds before cross goes in. Should have been saved? Yes. I think all three could have been saved. Latif Blessing, shout out. We had such a campaign to get Latif Blessing. A few summers ago.
I'd still take him here, man. I love Latif. Latif was dope.
Me too. He had a great game.
He's not coming to screw that guy.
Including, again, I mean, it's a one-timer through traffic, off of a set piece. Again, it's like, should you save that? Yeah, for sure. But that's also it's through the trees, high speed, low. I mean, it was a perfect shot, right? It was 3 good shots that also could have been 3 really good saves. Overall, everyone just wasn't good enough, except for a couple, and we can get into those later. I don't know, specifically you're chomping at the bit here. Who do you want to get into here?
Well, I just want to say real quick about Zack, and people are going to hate this take, and I get it, and I understand. Goalies aren't real people. They're the least important person on that pitch, in my opinion, especially in soccer. They matter a lot in hockey. They matter a lot. That's the only other sport with the goalie, I guess. But they matter a lot. But when it comes to soccer, it's a good shot's always going to beat you more times than it's not. And even if it's just kind of good, it's more likely for it to beat you. And again, goalkeepers can win you games, but I don't think goalkeepers more often than not lose you. It's a weird take. I don't believe goalkeepers have as much responsibility. I think Zack could have done a better job. Don't get me wrong. I think he could have been a lot better tonight. But in general, I don't think goalkeepers are the main reason that you lose the game.
Yeah, look, I mean, let's talk about it. It was a bit of a rotated squad, right? You dropped a winger. In this case, it was Omir. And, you push Cole up into attack. You add Ronan into the midfield. Ollie takes a rest for Jasper. Keegan off for Seb. Otherwise, you're still playing your 4-2-3-1 in attack, 4-4-2 in defense. And they had their moments. I think the offense didn't look bad. They had a lot. Sam was super involved early. A lot of just vertical. It was quick. It was run. And I think they burnt themselves out almost too by the end of it. Because they got on the ball and they were sprinting. It was one direction. I mean, what'd you see? Did you see the same thing early? Yeah, I mean, it felt like they were at least all coordinated in what they were doing offensively.
They definitely had a lot of control, man. And I think a lot of that comes down to Djordje Mihailovic. I thought he controlled the pace, the way the spacing was being controlled in that midfield. Because even when he didn't have the ball, he was moving around to move the defenders with him. And that's really what created a lot of space for Ronan and for Jasper. And honestly, I also think a lot of that comes down to Cabral. Cabral was making the right runs all night. He was doing the right thing. He had effort in him, and not just defensively, not just offensively, but defensively too. Mm-hmm. I've been really frustrated with him defensively, even the last 2 games, because the effort's there, but he refuses to put in that tackle at the end of it after he gets there. Today, he was willing to get every foul needed to get that ball, and that's exactly what we needed. And it does come down to guys like that. Even Rafa was making the right runs. It comes down to guys making all the right runs at the right time to open up spaces, because part of positional play and part of playing soccer, it's not just what you do when you have the ball. It's what you do when you don't have the ball to open up that midfield, open up running lanes for other players, and so that ball can reach the back of the net. On the contrary, Cole didn't have that great of a game for that same exact reason. Cole is better with the ball at his feet. He's the guy that carries the ball into dangerous positions. He's not a guy that passes the ball into dangerous positions. You need a guy you need a guy on that left wing that's able to cut in and create for himself. And that's not really Cole's game. Cole should just stick at the 8. That's exactly where he's the best at.
He did have another great cross. Did you see that cross that kind of missed the whole field to Was it Cabral on
Rafa.
no,
I
Rafa.
think
It was
Rafa
Rafa on
the
the
other
far
side.
side of the box. He is finding those long passes pretty well as he plays up, but you're missing a lot of the, scramble defense, get it to the midfield and find a safe space passes that he gets, and so
Exactly.
the one or two crosses he can make or plays he can produce from the wing are not worth the possession you can keep in the center of the field.
And honestly, I don't think it's also a coincidence that I think Djordje had one of his best games of the season so far, and Cole wasn't involved in that midfield. It might just be that they occupy too many of the same spaces, man. They like to run in the same places. So I think it has to come down to, like, maybe you have to adjust your tactics a little bit. Maybe we've talked about it. The 4-4-2 diamond, I think, allows everybody to play the roles they want out in the wings. You also saw great chemistry between Cabral and Djordje Mihailovic, and you didn't see the same on that left side with Cole and Rafa. You saw a lot of frustration from Cole tonight. Whenever the ball didn't get where he wanted it, he would look at Rafa immediately and just kind of lift up his hand and ask us what's going on.
Man, it feels like this team needs a defensive midfielder, like an actual true defensive midfielder, not just a tiny double pivot that if they stand on each other's shoulders, little rascal style, they make one.
Have you heard of this one player that might be available, Jock?
It's funny, he falls out of favor, and like 3 straight games, it's like, man, could he use a giant fast guy in the middle of all that? Kind of a bummer. I don't think that had anything to do with the result, but it just feels like you're taking something out of the holster. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like one less tool you can go to. Duane, what else are we missing from this game? What else we want to touch on early here?
Sam Vines.
Yes. Yeah,
Sam
that
Vines,
was
he's back for today.
That pass out of 3 people stuck on the sideline to Jasper in towards. I was like, come on, let's go.
The way he tipped it over.
Yeah, is he back? I mean, is Sammy actually back? Or, I mean, Vancouver?
I think it's the beginning of coming back.
Yeah.
Like it's the last couple of games have been pretty good. After we had the post game where we were like, Sam's not there yet. And as soon as we said that, he's really been, he's been on the radar, one, because we're watching him. But also he's showing out and getting better and more plugged in with every game. So you all are welcome for us bringing that up on the show a few games ago. We fixed Sam Vines. So
you're welcome.
Yeah, we did it. Good job, everybody.
We did it.
Sam there's one thing that I think goes unnoticed today quite a bit, and it's the defensive side of Sam. And it's because he wasn't tested that often today. And it's not because that player on that side is not good enough to test Sam. You have Coco on that side, one of the premier players in the league, one of the guys that's being touted to Europe, one of the guys that people are craving. Again, he's playing out of position, but he's still super talented. And that's something that I think goes really unnoticed, that they rather not test Vines, and they wanted to pick on Sepp Anderson all night. And it didn't work out for them on the wings, really. They just got some scrappy goals that really put them in the head, but they didn't create a lot of chances. Like, defensively, Sam was really solid, and he put Coco in his pocket and kind of walked away with him for most of the game. Coco was never really a danger. He was never really a factor in this game throughout the 90 minutes.
I think defensively, like, obviously you're going to see 3 goals. So you're going to see a lot of counter chances, and it's tough to say it was a good game, but I do think structurally they were pretty sound. They were quick back together into a strong, 4 on top of 4, compact, very rigid lines. I thought formationally they defended well, which I think, obviously a small victory, but a victory nonetheless, right? It's something that you can carry through to next games, and just try and clean up the little mistakes versus structurally looking awful, right? Like, whatever they were doing wrong in that first half against Minnesota, at least it did feel like you saw a 4 and a 4. They were on top of each other. They're coordinated. They're moving well. And I think that's what allowed Sam to break out of those moments too, was being so structurally sound in defense.
Yeah, of course. And again, I'm happy that he's kind of trying to find his rhythm. We just know there's another gear for Sam. We know that there's something else there for him offensively. Like, he's just kind of missing those little timing things that I think with a little bit more time, a little bit more game time flow, and playing more with a guy with Rafa and Cole, it's going to really show offensively in the second half of the season.
How'd you feel about the rotation there, Duane? Like the lineup going into this? Were you happy with the choice of Armas in terms of who was left out and who played for them?
I mean, I don't know. I'm thrilled about it because I like seeing the regular lineup, but we're in this like brutal stretch, so we knew these games were coming where it's going to be like some guys getting some rest, but losing Cole and Ollie in their regular positions this season is brutal for that midfield. So I was curious to see how that was going to work with Jasper Ronan set up back there. Not great. Made me really miss Bassett being in, playing back with Ollie where he's been all season. You guys talked about him already playing up at the 10 and how, that's not working or, up in the, him and Djordje kind of playing the same role. Cole's been better all season when he's been back in that double with Ollie. So I was a little worried about that. Turns out that was a legit worry. I didn't think the midfield was very good tonight, especially in that first half. It was weird that normally we're talking about, the offense being the ones that just seem kind of slow and don't have that sense of urgency, whereas the midfield seems to be pushing a little more. But today it was opposite. Like I thought the offense in the first half was really flying around and pushing pretty hard to get to the net, whereas the midfield really, it felt, I'm not going to say lost, but it just, it's such a departure from what we're used to that it didn't work. And I think that's where Yaya was mentioning, like switching to that 4-4-2 might have been the play when you're switching up the roster like that.
Yeah, what about you, Yaya? What'd you think about Jasper and sort of just the rotated squad?
If I'm honest, I hate the rotation of the squad. I hate it because you haven't established a starting 11, especially in the winger spot. And that leaves so much interpretation. You leave a lot of chemistry on the table, in my opinion, with that kind of stuff. You have to build chemistry throughout the games. You have to have stable rotations. And to me, there's just been a lot of like throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks right now, which I get. You're trying to figure out who's going to be the mainstays, but I think around 15 games in, you should have already had that, and you're still rotating the squad. And then when you do have to rotate it because of so many games coming up close to each other, it becomes kind of a hodgepodge of shit that's just not going to work. And we kind of saw it tonight. I think Ronan and Jasper can do a lot of good together because they are opposites and they can kind of cover for each other. But then you also have Ronan coming off a major injury. He has had some run, but there is some rust with him still. Defensively, he still refuses to put in a tackle. He was right outside the box. He chased the guy down, and then he just ran circles around him. Then he ran back to his spot because he just didn't want to put a tackle in.
Yeah.
Jasper was the opposite. He was a one-man wrecking crew out there. But once he had the ball, he couldn't get the ball to any dangerous positions. He was just kind of like launching as far as he could because he didn't want any danger in the spot. I completely understand where they're both coming from, but that is also a little bit where chemistry comes in. When you know when somebody's going to take that spot, you know where somebody's going to be at a certain time. And it just feels like it also threw that back line off a little bit. You saw Bombi pressing a lot higher tonight, and it's mostly because he wanted to help out Ronan. He wanted to help out Jasper a little bit more and try to push the ball forward. But then you got Bombi out of position, and that also allowed Houston to just get him off numbers because Bombi's also didn't have a great passing night either. So it allowed for so much interpretation all the way around. It allowed for many little mistakes that it did feel like death by a million paper cuts tonight. It felt like all those little things compounded, and it allowed Houston to get into the game that I think the Rapids were dominating for most of the first 15 minutes of the game.
Yeah, it was tough, man. Look, but here's the thing: you haven't rotated really at all. You barely rotated the last time that there was a midweek game, right? I mean, I think you switched out one winger. So these guys that are on the bench, they know they're bench guys, but they also want to play, right? And when they, like you have to get subs from run. You got to see what you have in case you need to grab another outside back in the window. You brought Jasper in pretty specifically, so when is he going to get run? It makes sense in a vacuum, but I just think this particular mix wasn't really it. It's just kind of a tough result out of that.
I think doing this kind of rotation going after coming off bad run of games, it's not it in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you were coming off a better run, if you were coming off some of those things that you actually really can look at positively, like, hey, we want to try some things out, cool.
Yeah.
But you're coming off a really hard stretch, and you're coming off with like a lot of things still up in the air. You don't know what's going on, so it does become very hard for you to rotate. And honestly, like, I don't believe in rotation when I see that Jonathan Lewis is still part of your bench and still getting minutes for this team. When I see that happening, I just don't think you take rotation that seriously or winning because that guy should not be out there.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we'll get into some more stuff in the second segment before we hand out flowers. But first, we got to talk about some friends. And this time it's Toyota. Who else would it be? We love Toyota here at DNVR. They are the official vehicle of DNVR. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, Toyota has built durable legends, destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. Whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling your ass back from Texas, there's a Toyota truck that is just right for you, like the all-new 2024 Tacoma and the return of the iconic 2024 Land Cruiser coming this spring. Toyota offers 17 models with available all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the Epic 4Runner. Toyota also currently offers more low and zero-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker. Give customers numerous choices to reduce their carbon footprint. There are 16 different hybrid vehicles to choose from, like the Tundra iForce Max hybrid truck. Toyota SUVs take command on the road and on the trail, so you can explore the road less traveled without sacrificing smooth city rides and SUVs like RAV4 and Grand Highlander. Visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of the Colorado Rapids and the official vehicle of DNVR. All right, y'all, we're back. DNVR Rapids. Yahir, Mitch, Duane, breaking it all down. The fellas. I think, in the chat, in the Toyota chat, it popped up that, the Houston weather, hot and humid. I know that's not an excuse, both teams playing it, but like they were showing Steffen just warming up, just like in the Adidas warmups, and it was completely sweat through, and he's just doing catching practice in goal, basically. Right? Like that's tough. Even training at altitude, it's tough to go down there and run around when you're not used to that.
I think it is tough, don't get me wrong, but if teams can come here and compete in elevation, you can go down there and play community.
Yeah, of course.
That's my whole thing. It's like if the other teams can do it, you can too. If you're not the first one, you're not going to be the last one.
Yeah, and look, I think they were physically in it until about 80-something minute, and I think you could tell Bombi by the end was just cooked. Specifically, by 98. Yeah.
Bombi definitely needs to rest, but I wouldn't put Lawless in and start the whole 90.
No, I don't think it's a good excuse. Just to answer, Bonner's our guy in the chat. Welcome into the show. I don't think it's an excuse. It's just, it's just it looked miserable was kind of my point. It sucks to lose like that in miserable conditions.
Yeah, for sure.
The depth argument that's going on in the chat. I feel like we've kind of had this problem in the last few years where it's like, the bench it's tough to choose anyone off the bench because they're all at the same level, and that level is basically unproductive, right?
Yeah.
Like you haven't been able to find any consistent threat off the bench. Calvin Harris has been the closest to that. I think he's actually been pretty great as a bench guy. But outside of that, what are you getting from this bench in terms of offensively? Who's the game changer that comes in and forces the other team to react?
It should be Ronan. It really should. But the thing is that if you bring in Ronan in a tight game and then you go down 1-1, you get nothing defensively from him, and then you're in a disadvantage. Like, that's the biggest issue with a guy like that. You don't have a game changer, and I think Kimani Sturbrains is that game changer. You saw it when he comes in. He actually does a lot of good. Like, I think Kimani could be a real rotation piece. I would like to see him get those Jonathan Lewis minutes a lot more. And that's just what I'm looking at, what this team has on the actual bench. I also wouldn't mind bringing in a guy like Wayne Frederick, giving him 10 minutes at the end of the game and see what he has at the pro level. You don't think he's ready? That's fine, but it's not a bad idea to give some other guys minutes to see if wanting that want to be a pro doesn't propel them forward a little bit more than guys that have been around in the league and kind of have it made at this point.
Duane, are you still? How many more games are we gonna have to watch before Yappy scores a goal?
All of them.
You think he never scores a goal ever?
I don't think he scores this year. No.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I mean, we all love Yappy, but the guys, he's not the guy right now to come off the bench for Rafa. It's a season and a half now. I feel like we know what we got in Yappy, and some of that's on Yappy, and maybe some of that's on the winger servicing the ball. But either way, it's not working out. A lot of people in the chat, and I agree, like give the dude some time in USL. The chat said it. People are talking about it on Twitter tonight. And I think those people are right. Like get him some quality minutes in a USL team where he can get comfortable and build up to that level. I just think it's just not there. It's but he's young. I don't think he's worth getting rid of. He's super young. I think his ceiling is still pretty high. It's just the floor hasn't been developed yet. And so until you can build that foundation of him becoming like a legit striker, it's kind of a disservice to keep him, and only giving him, 10, 15 minutes a game. It's hard to grow when you're that young and be able to get into goal scoring form, when you're not starting. And I think he could get those minutes in USL. Somewhere.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's not, I don't think it's anything to him. He's a young, he's a young kid. Mm-hmm. He's a kid, but there's no other striker there. And so when you're the guy that's supposed to come in and score goals and you don't, it's tough. It's a no-win situation because he's not ready, but we need him to be ready because that's the only chance you have at finding anything off the bench right now. Right. And Lewis isn't going to finish. He hasn't finished for 2 years. He's, coming into this year, the only worst finisher was Cabral, right? Like, it's like there's no, like in the entire league. So, like, what, I don't know what you do. It's, it's tough. You just need to find someone that can score. Like, just find anyone off the bench that can change the run of play.
I think Calvin Harris, man, would be a way better backup striker at this point than Yappy for the one reason that Calvin is super quick. He comes in with a burst of energy. You bring him in with tired legs. He already played striker in college. He played it last year, remember, with the Rapids. Mm-hmm. He has experience playing that position. If you bring in a guy like that, man, that just comes with a burst of energy, does play at an MLS level, I think that could be your backup striker. Now, you do have to make some rotation pieces at times with your wingers and stuff like that, and that's the other hard part. But that's why I kind of like Kamani Stewart-Baines being brought up and letting him get some more minutes in MLS. Give him the Jonathan Lewis minutes. You still have Omir that has a great connection with Rafa too. You have Cabral, who I think has picked it up the last 2-3 games. Is it trustworthy? I have no idea. We
hope so. It's 2 games worth at least. Yeah, exactly.
But subbing in Yappy right now isn't working, which it's fine. Like, he's 19 years old. He hasn't played. He hasn't had the greatest team around him. Let him out on loan. Let him cook a little bit in Rapids too. I've been saying this for the last 2-3 weeks. Like, this guy just needs a little change of scenery. Let him go out there and see what he can do. Now, in the transfer window, you do have to address some of this, whether it's the a backup striker if Calvin Harris doesn't work out there, if they do end up trying that, whether it's another winger, whether it's another midfielder, because I don't think you have enough grit in that midfield.
Yeah, you need some dog. That was missing tonight, man.
I mean, look at Houston, man. They brought in Latif Blessings. He might not be an all-star. He might not be the best player on that team, but he is a solid contributing piece. That's who they bring in to rotate in and give Houston another edge. Who do the Rapids bring in? Like Ollie, he's been great, but it's also not the same. Like, you need somebody else. You need another guy that can help you and just be another piece in that midfield as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. The bench, and you just kind of have to hold on until the window opens, really. It's tough. You have to hope that someone does find that spark, right? You have to hope that Yappy, something clicks, that he grows into that, or that KSB can get healthy, or contract year Jonathan Lewis puts up a bunch of goals, and can score and build up some value for his next contract, right?
Yeah, this roster build felt a lot like hoping some of these guys either reach their potential or hit a new level in the offseason, especially in the bench. Like, it doesn't seem like that. Like, I really like Lawless, you know what I mean? But I don't think Lawless is a starting caliber center back for 90 minutes anymore in my, especially next to Maxu. You saw it all last year. It didn't work out great. So now if Bombi or Maxu need a break for the full 90, I don't think it's going to be great. That's why I kind of miss the U.S. Open Cup, because it gave Armas and the coaching staff and everybody else to bring to try out new lineups, try out new guys, and see who they can bring up. And right now you're like, just, it's all league games, and there's no trying out with no consequences, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. You're you're kind of on the fly here. Like, the other thing is, if Rafa doesn't score, which, they did score on his penalty. So, whatever, it's not like, in the run of that play, but what are you going to rely on? You can't rely on one goal a game. I guess Cole has been close, but like, if you're going to be able to rotate and experiment, find these slots and see who plays well with who, you have to have Djordje, Cole, and Rafa at minimum contributing. Vines get assist or two, get a goal. Like, you need the guys that are in to produce, because if they have a down game like they did, then you're really up shit's creek, right?
Yeah.
It's just tough.
And on the penalties, man, I have no leg to stand on. I talk shit when he made them. I'm not going to talk shit when he misses them.
Yeah.
It's only fair. Like, I know
you can't call them unimportant and then get pissed if they're not converted.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't call them unimportant. I just said, like, hey, like, I don't think it's easier to score them. So, like, I can't talk all that shit. Like, I just have no leg to stand on that. At least they scored off of it, I guess.
Yeah. What are we missing from this? What else are we missing from this combo here, guys? What's the chat talking about? What are we missing?
Every game, there's a guy from the other team that just, another no-name player that just gets under my skin and becomes part of my fuck you list.
Oh, hell yeah. Who is it?
Tonight it was Batsy, man.
Oh, Batsy, yeah. Screw that guy. Yeah.
Dude should have gotten a yellow at least twice. Didn't. I don't know what the fuck the ref was doing. Like, the exact same yellow that they gave, who was it? Sammy? Oh, no, Sab Anderson was the exact same thing he did twice, and they didn't give him a yellow. I'm like, that's bullshit. I'm like, dude was also just annoying. He wasn't even like, he just kept fouling Sab because he couldn't get past him. It's just, he was one of the most annoying players on that pitch tonight for sure. I liked everybody else on Houston, honestly. He's the only fuckface I hated.
Did anyone rewatch the Omir penalty that wasn't? Kind of looked like he got run over. I didn't see how much flopping was involved. I never really saw a replay, just the run of play. Felt like they probably should have had a second penalty called there.
Should have at least reviewed it.
Well, I'm pretty sure it did go to. I mean, it was still live.
They were
looking at it. Yeah.
I don't know. He got trucked pretty hard. I don't think it was a dive, but it looked like a penalty to me.
That's a bummer.
It did look like a penalty 100%. And then immediately they scored off of that.
I know. You almost wish someone just kicked it straight out of bounds, immediately, just to like, because Armas, they even said Armas was working the fourth official there, like after the goal already.
Yeah.
Well, Ted Uncle was out there, so
son of a bitch. I'll see you in hell, Ted Uncle. I'll see you in hell. God.
Ted in hell, am I right?
on your family. God, I hate that guy so much.
My wife's not into soccer at all, and she saw when they listed all the referees, and she was like, Oh, Ted, uncle. Like, even she knows from me complaining over the years.
I will say
fucking hate that guy.
the main ref was pretty good tonight, in my opinion. I thought he
Yeah, he
had
was.
a pretty bad game.
Mhm.
Fair game. He had a few things that I didn't agree with, but for the most part, I thought it was a decent. I don't think he played a hand in the results of this game.
Ton of fouls though. Ton of
Yeah.
fouls. I think 15 first half fouls. That's like
And each team only ended up with one yellow, surprisingly enough.
I mean, yeah, it was a physical game. You know, if he
It is
didn't
wild to
seem-
me that Cabral doesn't get more cards.
Because
What do
he's
you mean?
French.
He just there's so many fouls. Like
yeah,
they're not
he
always
whacks the shit
noticeable.
out of
but
the
he
kick
goes
that dude's
in
calf
hard.
so hard.
He does. And
Also,
he
shout
gets
out-
away with it.
Shout out Cabral, dude. Without him, they don't tie up this game. He's the
No.
one that
Yeah.
forced that penalty, basically.
He was really good tonight. Maybe that's kind of how we end this little segment. He's to me, he's a lock starter now. Like no matter what, he's running his ass off. He's sprinting. He's making plays. I don't know. Like I don't know what happened, but
Yaya wants to tell you you're wrong, but he knows he's wrong, so he's having. a
No,
hard
I
time
don't think I'm
saying it.
Are you
wrong.
coming to
I don't-
terms?
I don't think you're right. I don't think I'm right. I don't think anybody's right. I'm still like, let's wait and see.
sure. I
don't
mean,
trust-
obviously, I just mean
I
right
just-
now.
I
in
don't
what is
trust
a-
it.
What is a wing rotation only written in pencil? He's kind of earned. You know, I think that one spot is for sure him now. You know.
That's my thing. Like, I want to be nice. I want to say, like, I think Cabral deserves to get another shot,
Yeah.
but I need consistency from him. I think that's one of the biggest things. Cabral just doesn't give me enough consistency for me
Yeah.
to be like, he's
No, I
good for the
agree.
year. Just pencil him in.
Oh, not the year. I'm saying Vancouver.
Oh, for Vancouver,
maybe the
for-
next
yeah,
game.
yeah.
Yeah, like maybe the
For
next game.
Vancouver, yeah, like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah. I'm
he's
not-
he should be penciled in. He's had. I think it should be Omir and him, dude. I think Omir.
Yeah,
and,
that makes the most sense, right?
yeah, Omir and Cabral together with Rafa, I think, have really found something out.
Good mix of dogs, speed, playmaking there. This game felt like an Omir game. I was kind of bummed that he didn't start because tons of fouls, a lot of physicality, shots all over the place. Really felt like he would have fit in that first half run of play before it kind of got chopped up late.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this game just feels like bullshit, man. If I'm honest,
yeah, that's
like,
right.
this game feels like so much fucking shit up your knees right now. Like it's so stupid. Like you've been on such a bad run. Like how do you allow? I don't give two Fs if it's a playoff game or a playoff team that you're losing to. You should not be giving up 2-2-0 goal leads in the first half, let alone the whole game and go out losing. The only reason you win that Vancouver game is because the other team goes down to 10 men and you score off that penalty. Then this game, then against Minnesota, you go down 3-1 in the first half, and then you have to crawl all the way back just to get that draw. And that's at home. That should never happen. And then this game, you just let everything compile on you, and it just ends up in another loss. Like it's
I think
such a bad run of form.
Yeah, it's a bad run of form. You already won at RSL. I don't think it was realistic to think you'd win 2, especially with the form they're in.
No, it is realistic when you're up 2-0 in the first half.
Sure, but the Minnesota game is the inexcusable one to me. They played a horrible game. They were terrible, and they were up 3-1. And they were. Oh, I have choice words that I won't say on the internet, but they were bad.
I'm not saying that the game is bullshit that they should have won. I'm saying that it's bullshit the way the Rapids have been playing as of late. Because it's clearly a lack of mentality and focus. It's clearly all up in their heads that they're not getting together because they have been good enough to win these games. They have been good enough to score the goals. They just let the other team back in. They let the other team punk them first. Like, I'm tired of that. Like, you got to flip a switch and you got to be the killer. You can't be the prey anymore.
Well, they just have to finish some of these first. I mean, both games, the last 3 games, they've spent the first 10, 15 minutes just with chance after chance after chance, and they just don't finish. They can't finish, right? Like it's 0 or 1, and they should have 2 or 3 based on the run of play. Like the Apple broadcaster said it best at half when the stats went up. He's like, I can't believe they only have 0.7 XG. It felt like they had more. It felt like they had all these chances. And, granted, he was, keeper stood on his head and did well, but they, that solves so much of this problem is just finishing when they're dominating the run of play. And they're just toothless at the end of it.
Yeah, and that's why the U22 initiative spot's not being used in the crime.
Yeah.
You
You're
still
right.
have one
You're
more
right.
available. You can get it. Using your DP spot on Cabral as good as he's been lately, it's a crime.
Crime.
Like those are the
Straight through
things
Yale.
those are the things that make your team better. Those are the assets. Those are the bench guys. Those are the things that can propel you to winning because you bring in guys that are ready to win. Zach has not done that. Djordje has the mentality to do it, but he can't carry the whole effing team with him.
Yeah.
Rafa's trying to do everything he can to score, and it feels like everybody's just okay with being carried right now.
Yeah.
It really does. Even Bombi has lost some of that edge. Bombi
Yeah.
was everywhere. Even now, Bombi just seems exhausted. Like he's just pushing as hard as he can at every moment.
Just get through this Vancouver game and you get a break. You know, get a couple weeks to chill, unless you're on national team duty like Bombi is. But you know, this will be a nice reset. Just get through this Vancouver game, right? Can you get a result in Vancouver, right? I think even a draw you gotta be happy with going into the break. All right, well, we'll get into some flowers and some looking ahead real quick. But first, we have to talk about a new friend. What? We're talking about Lavello Construction. Lavello Construction specializes in all things roofs, gutters, siding, and paint for your home here on the Front Range. Woman-owned and operated for over 17 years. When storms strike and your home faces the aftermath, call or text Lavello to schedule an appointment. Just like the Rapids on the pitch, they bring experience, precision, and a winning spirit to restoring your home's exterior to better than it was before. They understand the complexities of navigating insurance claims after storm damage and are there to make the process as smooth and well-executed play. From assessing the damage to working with your insurance provider, they are there to help. They also have an experience working as insurance adjusters, so who better to understand the process and know what to look for? With Lavello Construction by your side, you can rest easy knowing that seasoned professionals are championing your cause. Just let them help you rebuild and restore your home with confidence. Scan the QR code below. Wait, do we have? I'm on a separate page. Yeah, is there no? Oh, we're on StreamYard. Whatever. We'll put that up on our studio show next. But call 303-578-8551. Get your quote in under a minute and tackle those claims together. Go Rapids. Shout out to our friends at Lavello Construction. Man, big game coming up. But real quick, we kind of were all over the place on that one. But let's hit flowers real quick. We'll get into that. And then we'll kind of look ahead and see, kind of forecast a little bit since we don't have a game in between the next one. Flowers from the fellas. Who's up first this week, guys?
I don't think I have that many, if I'm honest with you.
I don't think anyone has many.
Yeah,
Tough game.
I'll go with Sammy Vines.
Good call.
I like the Vines, man. I just think he's finally going in the right direction as a player and getting some of that form that we're so used to for Vines. If he just can pick it up a little bit more offensively and be more of a creator, not just so reliant on who's around him, I think we're going to have a really good second half of season from him, especially.
I'm going to give some to our guy, Seb Anderson. I thought he was really good tonight. I've kind of been a skeptic of the bench outside backs, right? Seb's been around for a while now, hasn't really broken out like you might expect a prospect like that, but he was great tonight. He was good on the ball. Got up, almost got that recycled header on the corner in traffic. I thought he looked good. I thought this was one of his better games.
I like Seb. He held his own against everybody tonight.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. Duane, you got anybody?
I do.
Oh,
I know who, and that's why I left it for you.
Yeah, me too.
It's Kevin Cabral. I thought Kevin Cabral was probably the best player on the field tonight. Agree or disagree, I don't really care. I could go back and watch that game and see him running around and being the most involved on offense and getting back and putting in hard tackles in the midfield and on defense. Every game, he gets a little bit better. I know every time you try to compliment Cabral, everyone wants to bring up the money. That's already there. Like, there's nothing we can do about that. The front office can try to, do some kind of wizardry to make him not a DP, but for now, it is what it is. Like, so it's like, stop worrying about the money and comparing it to the money every time, because we can't change that. It's how is he playing? Is he putting in the work? And he is. So I thought he had two really good games in a row now. So yeah. Flowers for him. 2 games in a row from me.
All right, I just saw a still shot of the Omir penalty. It was bullshit. Screw you, Ted Uncle, asshole.
Ted
Get
Bungle.
banned.
Get the
You
fuck
suck.
out of here.
You're banned from the
Ted-
DNVR bar forever.
Ted Bungle. Bungle's another one.
God, he sucks. Screw him. I hate him. Oh, freaking worst, dude. Boo him. Boo Ted Uncle. Anti-flowers for Ted Uncle, dude.
You
I
know,
don't have any other flowers. You know what? Djordje had a pretty good night, and I think he's had some rough ones lately. I'll give him some flowers too. Yeah.
That was a very good heads-up play on that PK. Miss.
Yeah. Djordje's actually been. I liked him tonight a lot tonight.
Yeah, he had some dog for sure.
Yeah. The other one I'll say, if I'm gonna give flowers, I think it's Rafa, and I think those two go together. I think Rafa and Djordje helped each other out so much tonight, in the way they ran and the way they gave each other space, that I think they're also starting to create that kind of connection that Omir and Rafa have.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Anybody else we missed?
I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think so too. Kind of just there's a few points where this game probably could have turned 3-1 the other way. It just sucks it didn't happen. You hope you just turn it around, rotate through, and have a good one against Vancouver. Let's talk Vancouver. What's your early impressions of this one? Just got a 1-0 win. Huh?
4-0 Vancouver.
Whoa!
The way this team has been defending at Vancouver, I don't trust them. I'm sorry, you lost my trust. Your trust was already on very thin ice to start the season. In this, what I want to say real quick, I'm very happy where the team is this year. I truly am. Compared to last year, we're seeing entertaining soccer every week, every game. It's fun. I like it. I enjoy it. As a fan, it's cool. But I'm here to criticize. That's part of the job of doing this podcast. And honestly, that trust that you gained early in the season has immediately gone away because of how you played lately. And that's only fair. And once you guys start playing good again, you'll gain it back. It's just part of the game, right?
Yeah.
So until you can prove to me that you can completely switch, that you can switch that mentality and you get over this hump that you faced, it's going to be really, really hard for me to get behind this team fully and trust them going up against tougher competition.
So, you immediately said 4-0. Bad game incoming. They haven't played the game after the 6th loss yet, but after the previous 5 losses, 3 wins, 2 draws, 11 points. They've responded. They've been able to find mistakes and correct them. Why is this time going to be different? Do you not have faith in that, hearing that?
This time is, to me, that was also early season. It's easier to bounce back earlier season.
It was in May. They've done that. They lost to San Jose, came back and beat Vancouver. They lost to Salt Lake, came back against Minnesota to get a draw.
Minnesota
month. That's in the last 5 games.
But if we're honest, those are 2 bad games. You got points, and that's always good, and I'm never going to discredit them for that. But if we're completely honest, those were kind of 2 bad games.
Sure.
And now you're facing a fully rested Vancouver team on the road, and it's just, to me, it seems like a very uphill battle. I think they'll be good. I think the Rapids are put in a fight, but until they can prove to me that they can fix all those little problems, all those little paper cuts by death, death by paper cuts, it's just, to me, it's very, very hard for me to see them kind of trying to fix that.
They won 2-1 tonight at Vancouver, or at Kansas City. But it was basically over. Kansas City got a stoppage time goal.
And it's tongue in cheek when I say 4-0, if I'm honest. I think they will lose, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. And maybe this is the time that they prove it wrong, but I think they've done so well at seeing what they've done poorly and being able to address specific things within the game plan. And, I think they'll crunch the tape. Granted, they have less time than normal, but they've responded well after losses. And I think that continues here. I think they can get a point there, right? As Warner has said, Vancouver's very tired, even if they're at home. Even if they rotated tonight, they've still played a ton. Rapids have been good on the road, and they've been good after losses. So I put those 2 together. Maybe, that's going to run out. That's tough form to keep for any team, even good MLS teams. That's tough form to keep. But so far, that's the way it's been after losses. I'll take it. I don't know. Who knows? Every time I get excited, it's a letdown. Every time I get let down, it's exciting. It's just kind of it's like, what the hell,
Yeah, it's also a super late game.
God, I hate late games so much.
My thing is we should just cut off the West Coast, just get us all and just completely saw them off from our existence. I'm tired of them.
Dustin, super chat coming in hot. At a death metal show between bands and can't hear you guys, but glad I missed the game. I'll look forward to watching tomorrow. Thank you very much, Dustin, for the super chat. Shout out to our guy.
That's awesome.
But drop the bands in the chat, though. He can't hear us. Someone put that. Oh, man, that's dope.
Duane, what are your thoughts?
Here are my thoughts. I think this squad also looks tired. So the Vancouver looks tired, doesn't really do anything for me because I think the Rapids also look tired.
Yeah, they do.
So to me, that's a wash. What's not a wash is that the Rapids gave up 3 goals tonight versus Minnesota. They gave up 3 goals versus RSL. They gave up 5 goals. And then Vancouver with the red card, 0 goals. And then San Jose 3 goals again. So I think predicting anything under 3 goals goes against logic at this point. So I'm gonna say Vancouver 3, Rapids 1. Yeah. I still think I think both teams look tired, Wanners. Like the Rapids look tired. Like Steffen looks tired. The midfield looks tired. Bombi looks tired.
I worry if they go down too, that Cole and Bombi and guys are going to be focused on their other opportunities. If they're just trying to not get hurt, end the game, get out of there, get to camp.
Could be.
It's possible. Or
I don't see Cole being that. Cole just seems too focused on winning.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. Like I said, this team is done after losses. This game isn't encouraging. But it's been a roller coaster all year. There hasn't been any consistent form one way or the other, right? It's like win, draw, loss, draw, loss, win.
Yeah,
like
the Rapids could easily win 6-0.
Well,
on Saturday.
That is the one thing.
Wackiness.
They will not score 4 goals. I'll tell you that much. They haven't done it in a long time.
That's the wackiness right now.
But who knows? I just hope we see, we talk about some of these concerning storylines, right? Like bench, not being able to change games when they come in, finding someone defensively in midfield. Can a winger establish themselves as like a for sure impact guy? Can Steffen stand on his head for a game? And you hope maybe 2 or 3 of those fix themselves this weekend, right? Get into the break. You get through a tough stretch. If you lose, you lose, but at least show us some progress in those areas we've been worried about over the last month or so, right? And just show us that the process is working and you're getting there. Regroup over the break, come back. Schedule is lightening up a little bit in terms of just how difficult your opponents are. So you do have that in your favor too, I guess.
I also just think Armas needs during this break because needs to take a step back, reanalyze what's going on, because defensively there's clearly cracks.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of them because Zach is being left out to dry and Zach's not stopping the easy ones right now. So you clearly have to take a step back, reevaluate your squad, see what needs to happen for this to be good. Is it Adam Wojcik time? Do you throw him in a game and kind of show that, hey, we got your replacement right behind you, man? Try to light a fire under his ass? Like, do you bring in a Nate Jones and see if he can do something at right or left back, which we have heard rumors that he can play both sides?
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Like, what is it that you need to reevaluate? Is it like a new formation, new strategy where you drop back a true pivot into between the center backs and let the wing backs attack more on offense? Like, there has to be something because clearly they're finding the cracks in that defense. That's how you allow 12 goals in 3-4 games, whatever it's been. Like, it's not acceptable.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. So hopefully some of those things get worked on. Guys, let's do quick predictions going into the next game.
I'm going to say 2-1 Vancouver, and Rafa scores once again and makes that price tag just a little bit harder to bring down.
That son of a bitch.
That dickhead. Who do you think you are? Trying to do your job right.
He's doing good. Good for him. Duane?
No, I love it.
It's still 3-1 for me.
Who gets your one?
Sorry, Rapids with 1.
You're good.
Well,
I know Rapids with 1. I mean, who scores it?
Hey, please.
Let's go Cabral. Why not?
Good boy.
I'm gonna ride the Cabral wave right now.
I'm gonna buy you a
should
beret.
eat a baguette like from different ends until you guys just end up.
Lady in the Tramp a baguette.
I'm down.
I'm telling you.
I'm gonna say 2-2. And I'm going to say pick a center back on a set piece.
Maxu.
Sure.
I
Maxu.
think that's the guy.
Yeah. Maxu on a set piece, and Sam Vines finally gets one. Bang.
2 defensive goals is insane in a game.
Who cares?
Sam also had a really good kick from outside the box today. That I thought
he looked good.
So
Bassett had one from the side too.
They had a lot of good shots, man. I don't think the
elevation
offensive process was bad. I really think a backup keeper did so well. I think
really
they could have scored a couple more, man. I really do.
I'm like on the opposite. Like, I think the process was well, the shots are bad, and that keeper got fucking lucky tonight.
He got lucky that Cabral on that open goal, on the rebound, didn't just pass it to Cole right next to him, and that would have been a wide
That's what
goal.
I mean. I'm like,
yeah.
Even if he shoots it to the left instead of the right, that might be a goal. Like,
tough.
He had a lot of those tonight where it's just like, if you just shoot at the other side, that's a goal.
Yeah.
Like,
tough.
that's what I was
Tough,
like,
tough,
you
tough.
kind of shot him at him.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Plug us out of here, my boy.
DNVR Rapids on Twitter. Follow us there. 5-star review wherever you hear this podcast, because we are also in an audio platform on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Stitcher, wherever you hear us. We really appreciate if you can give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It helps out quite a bit. We really appreciate it. Also, tell a Pitts friend about us. They might enjoy 3 guys just talking crap about soccer. It's a lot of fun. So let everybody know about us.
Duane.
Late Rapids game coming up on Saturday. So all of that time before, get over to DNVR Bar if you're looking for a place to watch the U.S. women's national team take on South Korea. We'll be having a watch party there, hanging out with some friends from AO Denver. Get there. I mean, you can show up early. We've got the brunch menu going.
Mimosas.
Mimosas. All that stuff. So Saturday, if you're looking for something to do before the Rapids game, DNVR Bar, U.S. women's national team. If you don't have tickets to go over to the deck and see it live, get over to DNVR Bar. Watch it there.
Yeah, it's always a good time over there. We have some good crowds show up for games. So let's hope we pack it out. We got some big show announcements coming your way. I'm going to tease them now and announce them later. Some big guests, some big stuff coming up over the next few months. We'll announce it maybe next week or maybe Saturday. Who knows? Jim, yes, the Pids will be on as well.
You can get pitted, man.
Get pitted.
You can smoke in the parking lot, Jim.
Well, trust us, we do it all the time.
No comment. I plead the fifth.
Well, I'm telling you guys, he does it all the time.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Shout out our sponsors.
I'm a snitch, boy. Don't come at me.
Yeah, it's not cool. It's not cool at all. All right, guys. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, DNVR_Rapids. Follow all 3 of us on Twitter, too, while you're at it. What else? 5-star reviews wherever you can if you're listening to this. Thumbs up if you're watching us. Become a diehard member at thednvr.com. That gets you discounts on events, discounts on merch, free merch, discounts at the bar, all sorts of fun stuff. Gets you behind the paywall into Discord channels, all that fun stuff. And it supports this show right here that you love. So help us out. Throw us a bone here. More important than all that, even when they lose in Texas, up the bids.
We all silly like the mayor.